Welcome to Miamisburg Historical Society's biennial series, and it's appropriate that we have these starting the biennial because in 4 years the city of Miamisburg will be celebrating its bicentennial. So we are happy that we are here, and I am Carol O'Connell with the Historic Society, and we are the first to be kicking the biennial series off, and we're very fortunate to have the expert on the Miami Canal, Miami-Erie Canal, and that is David Newhart, who has done extensive research on the canal. So any question you might have, you just ask David.
And you can just see here the statistics of the produce that were shipped out of this area. You know, flour, whiskey, bacon, and pork, huge amounts of pork. In fact, there's a famous story when the completion of the canal was being celebrated in Montgomery County in 1828. There was a dinner party at a tavern in Dayton, and one of the toasts that were made at that point were to the ladies of Dayton, the only produce of the Miami Valley we don't wish to see exported.
Well, that's nice. Some of us are still sticking around.
So they were thinking even almost 200 years ago about the exports from this area, and it continues to be true today.
Well, as you said, though, that it did bring profits into the area, and I know here in Miamisburg we did because that was really when tobacco was king in the area. So a lot of that was
shipping a lot of tobacco,
yes.
Right. Tobacco and flour and
we had many mills, didn't we?
Right. And in fact, we'll talk about locks in a minute, but the power that was created by the fall of water at those locks could be used for mills and run millstones. And this section of the canal was at one point described as being 60 mills and 60 miles because it was such a productive area.
Yes, so. This has just been wonderful.
Well, we can keep going.
Oh, you have so much to share with us, and I'm just so pleased that you are here to do that.
Well, I'm pleased that the Historical Society has taken enough interest to try to preserve the history of Miamisburg. It's a great thing.
Yes.
Welcome to Historic Miamisburg. Today we are kicking off the bicentennial series of interviews leading up to the city's 200th anniversary as a community, the bicentennial of Miamisburg. And with us today is Bobby Sweeney. Bobby Sweeney is one of these people that has been very involved in the community since she first arrived here a few years ago.
A few years ago.
A few years ago. Bobby, when did you come to Miamisburg?
1947. And I came, my first trip to Ohio, because I was a Californian, was to visit the home that I hoped to make my own. I wanted to see what Ohio looked like and whether or not it was worth it to give up my family and my job and my friends and my home in California and moved to Ohio. So I came and I tested it because I came in January.
You came in January?
Yes.
Now,
1947.
There had to be a reason, though, that you came to Miamisburg.
Oh, yes, and he was handsome. Yes.
When you came to Miamisburg, what was your first impressions?
I thought we were coming in the alley. It was brick street, and I hadn't seen anything like that. But I was so impressed with the architecture of the buildings. I'd never lived in a town or been in a town of that age. In California, you don't see buildings of that age unless they're adobes and stuff like the Missions. And the architecture was so interesting, and I fell in love. I really fell in love with this city.
How did you get involved in the bicentennial?
In the bicentennial?
Or not the bicentennial, the sesquicentennial.
Ted Fink.
And
you know, Ted, he was the chairman, and Ted did not understand the word no unless he was saying it.
Yeah.
He said to me, I want you to open the headquarters. I said, Ted, I don't have time. I have children. And he never heard it. I opened the headquarters in the Market Square building. Yes.
Right.
And loved it. I really loved that I think that was the benchmark celebration
It
for
was.
Miamisburg.
But the children's program got a big boost when we went after the Jacob Kircher house.
Move the Kircher. Well, when Les Wade, give him credit for
Yes.
that, discovered when the city was buying up all
Right.
this property,
For
he
Riverfront
knew
Park.
that
Mhm.
that had to be one of the very old homes. And he researched it and found out that it was Jacob Kircher's cabin, in fact. So it was to us as a historical society a duty to save that. And the city didn't want it.
No.
So they said to us, if you want it, and we didn't want it there
Yeah.
because it didn't fit in with
Right.
our ways. We wanted to move it down to the Gephardt, down to the village, and the city said, "You're welcome to it, but you have to pay for it."
Right.
And so we mounted a fund drive and got the money, and what did it cost us? $125,000,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
But wasn't that an interesting day when they moved
Oh,
that down to Miami?
everybody was lining up to see the moving of the cabin.
Oh, I was fascinated how they brought it in and backed it into a foundation we
Right.
had already planned. I can't even back my Buick
I
into
couldn't.
the garage. And here they were moving this whole house and
Yeah.
set it right on that foundation.
Right.
It was fantastic.
Good evening, and welcome to Historic Miamisburg, the Bicentennial Edition. I'm your host, John Warrington, and I'm a member of the Miamisburg Historical Society. Mound Laboratory played a significant role in the growth and development of the city of Miamisburg for more than 50 years. This is the first installment of what is hoped to be several shows highlighting the research and products produced there from 1949 through 2008. I'm pleased to introduce my guests from the Mound Science and Energy Museum, Mr. Paul Lamberger, who is the Vice President, and Mr. Ken Phipps, who is on the Board of Trustees. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We have a few pictures up here that just kind of show that these legacy of Mound Lab parts are still in existence. This picture is of which...
This is one of the space probes. Every NASA probe that's beyond Mars is powered by a Mound heat source, which is heat converted to electricity to power the instruments and to send the data back to Earth.
Mhm. And this picture that they're seeing now is a sort of a cutaway of that power source,
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
And this is not just on a few space probes, it's on quite a few, isn't
It's
it?
on everything that's past Mars.
Mhm.
The first ones here are, this one's on the moon.
Mhm.
Was taken there by the astronauts and left essentially to study moonquakes.
Oh, okay. So they have earthquakes on the moon too.
Yeah, earthquakes on the moon.
And this picture, I'm not sure which space probe that might be, but it still contains a product that was produced at the Mound
Right.
Laboratories.
Not only produced but invented.
And this picture is this the Cassini?
I think so.
And that one is currently outside the orbit of our universe, is that correct?
The Explorer, I think is.
Explorer, okay.
Explorer is the one that's farthest from the Earth. It's
Okay.
the second set.
So there's quite a legacy out in space and still in the United States of Mound products.
Right.
And eventually Miamisburg was, is it my understanding, they were the sole producer of initiators
Yes.
for nuclear stockpiles.
Right.
So that without our component from Miamisburg, it wouldn't work.
Wouldn't work. Eventually, I think Mound workers contributed about 20% of the city budget from their income tax. So that's another kind of impact and a lot of support to the town.
Yeah, and you know, in our discussions, you know, the immediate increase in population, like you said, put an impact on the school district, but it kind of helped the school district in what way? I mean,
It did, because the people that came to work at Mound, the technical people, all were college educated and pretty much wanted their kids to go to college too. So that boosted up, sort of raised the bar and supported raising the bar of the education in the schools. when I started to work there, you could teach in the city of Miamisburg. You didn't even have to have a teaching certificate.
Wow. They needed teachers bad, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
I want to thank again tonight's guests, Paul Lamberger and Ken Phipps, and encourage you to visit the Mound Science and Energy Museum located directly across the road from the historic Indian Mound in Miamisburg, Ohio. And again, gentlemen, thank you for an interesting show tonight, and we look forward to doing shows in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.